The truth is that when America is set to carry out investigation, they have all the informations and secret documentations they need about the oppressions, the establishment of Boko Haram, the Christian genocide, and those behind the sponsors and the rest of them. When they want to act, you will know that several heads will roll. They are aware of all these things. They have their, of course, secret agents that could crack every detail of secrecy or information that they needed to execute. But what is keeping them from taking proactive steps to stop the tides of killing in Africa, sub-Saharan regions, including Nigeria, is quite interesting. The former mayor in Texas, United States of America, Mike Arnold, has given strong position challenging the Sultan of Sokoto, who happens to be the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Alhaji Said Abubakar III, that he should provide a proof that he is not part of those sponsoring the killings of Christians in Nigeria. Now, this is coming in the eve of disagreement and denial of the reality on ground. The Said Abubakar III, the Sultan of Sokoto, has debunked the allegations or debunked the rumor or the statements maintained or positions expressed by certain quarters, including the Christian Association of Nigeria, that there is nothing like the genocide, systematic killings of Christians in Nigeria. Is just a mere fantasy. It does not exist. Now, Mike Ammon has been investigating the killings of Christians, the displacement of Christian communities, visiting ID counts for more than 16 years, and he has made his documentations and findings very clear and open to the public, with strong affirmations and evidence backing his support. And Sultan of Sokoto considered that as an unfavorable propaganda intended to tarnish the image of the Islamic movement in Nigeria. But there are overwhelming evidence, concerns raised by several Christian clerics, the massacre of Christian communities, the mass burial being observed, funerals, are evidence abounding to this, and displacement and dislodgement of Christian predominant communities are evidence that attests to that. And those behind that are Islamic radicals, Islamic jihadists pushing for Islamic dominance and conquest. And what had been the action or the bunking on the part of the Sultan of Sokoto? Of course, people might have reference to his previous stance and positions. Have he ever condemned the killings of Christians in different Christian predominant communities by this Boko Haram, who in 2012 asked the entire Christian to vacate the north or be killed? And of course, the narrative have not changed over these years. So the former mayor of Texas, United States, have challenged the Sultan of Sokoto. Bring a proof that you are not involved in the systematic killings of Christians in Nigeria. Let's read an excerpt here, has been published in the media. It's a former mayor in Texas, United States, Mike Ammon, has issued a strong challenge to the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Said Abubakar III, asking him to show proof that he is not connected to what he described as the systematic killings of Christians in Nigeria. Arnold, who is also the founder of African Arise International, made a claim in a series of posts in his verified X handle on Friday, sparking various outrage, and debate among Nigerians online. The American politician said his accusations were in response to the Sultan's recent dismissal of claim that Christians in the northern region are facing religious genocide. The Sultan has earlier stated that such allegations were false and capable of inciting division among citizens. But speaking during the General Assembly of the Northern Traditional Rulers Council in Birni Kebbi, earlier in this week, the respected monarch insisted that there is no Christian genocide, systematic killing of Christians, burning of churches, never happened in the northern part of the country, where tens of thousands of Christian worshippers were rounded up, burnt alive, and over 20,000 churches destroyed, or have they eventually been rebuilt? The displaced Christian communities, has they been reintegrated or returned back to their communities? What is the basis of his insistence that there is no Christian killings or genocide in the north? What narrative is it? Of course, present out there. These are the reasons why the former mayor in Texas has to respond. He said the dismissal of Christian genocide in the northern part of Nigeria is mischievous and unrealistic, not being sincere. Why the Sultan is saying that such allegations is false. Wow, that is quite an interesting development. And the polity is heating up, and eventually from both sides, from time immemorial, Christians and Muslims have lived as brothers in the north, but that is not the case now, not time immemorial. What we are talking is the current realities, and the trend of events has changed for more than 2 decades. They are no longer living as brothers and sisters. The Muslims perceive Christians to be infidels, and the reason why the Islamic jihadists are embarking on massive killings and massacre. Of course, they have issued an ultimatum in 2012 that all Christians should vacate, and they back their words with action, which, of course, there are several documentary and evidence that attest to that. Even the prophet Ebuba Isa of Fulani extraction confirmed that anyone saying that there is no Christian killing, genocide in Nigeria is a blatant liar, and there is no truth in him. It's of Fulani extraction. He said it, that we should not be living in denial, that he have attended tens of thousands of funerals of Christian brethren that were killed, displaced in their homes and communities. I mean, this is a northern Christian of Fulani extraction affirming there is Christian genocide. So it's not an issue of blaming the South for such. These are people who are victims, who have been victimized, who are survivors of this conspiracy. It is very interesting. So the issue of Christians have been living together, that is old story. It does not exist anymore. It does not exist in a country supposed to be a secular state, but in practice it's not. Where the supposed citizens considers you as an infidel, somebody that deserves to be killed, stoned to death, at every slightest provocation, even without any provocation, just for the very fact that you express your religious liberty. It is very unfortunate. That is the situation of Nigeria. There's nothing anyone can say to cover up or to sugarcoat whatever is happening. The evidence abounds there. These allegations are false and merely aimed at sowing discord among the inseparable faithful. That is wrong. That is unacceptable. It is not true. For me, it is a blatant lie, and there is nothing like inseparable. The documentations are there. So the doctrine of Tabia and the rest of them could not be invoked in this case. The evidence are there. But in its very reaction, Ahmad wrote, I challenge the Sultan of Sokoto to prove he is not the architect of this genocide. That is wonderful. He said, I challenge the Sultan of Sokoto to prove he is not the architect of this genocide. He also made further unverified allegations linking the Sultan to extremist groups, claiming he once served the Taliban in Afghanistan and used that connection to bring militants in Nigeria. He also made unverified claim. Well, they may have their information and proof to that. I challenge the Sultan to prove that he did not, while serving the Taliban in Afghanistan, connect with and recruit Al-Qaeda and other international terrorist groups in Nigeria, where he has provided them safe haven, vast resources, and unlimited Christian blood to feed their bloodlust. He said, wow, this is a very interesting development, honestly, and a very heavy allegation. As a matter of fact, Ahmad also alleged financial gains from what he termed blood mineral looted from under the killing fields, accusing the monarch of colluding with the Nigerian government and preparing for an international criminal trial. Wow, which means it is an interesting development that Mike Arnold and other interested groups might be dragging the Sultan of Sokoto to international criminal trial alongside with Nigerian government over this subject matter. Well, will be a very interesting moment to watch how that goes. His comments have sparked mixed reactions, with some describing his claim as reckless and inciting, while others demanded an independent investigation to ascertain the veracity, the validity of the accusation. Yes, there should be an independent investigation to ascertain the veracity and the validity of such allegation, because it's a weightier allegations and such should not be swept under the carpet and for clarity purpose and the rest of them. Some commentators on the line warn that such public claims, if not verified, could worsen Nigeria's fragile religious harmony. The Sultan camp has not yet issued a formal response to Ahmad's challenge as of the time of filing this report. However, it could be recalled that the issue of alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria recently gained major international reaction when Ted Cruz, a U.S. senator, publicly asserted that more than 50,000 Christians has been killed since 2009 in Nigeria, along with thousands of churches, of course, and Christian schools destroyed. Churches, Christian schools are being targeted. The evidence abounds to that. It's one thing the Sultan of Sokoto denying or dismissing Christian genocide, and is one thing saying that he is not involved. The fact that he may not be involved does not deny the existence of Christian genocide. So if he's saying that he is not involved in such, that would be understandable, but denying the attack on Christian churches, schools, and communities with overwhelming evidence cannot be dismissed. It can't be dismissed because there are evidence that attests to that. At the point, the Sultan has to say that even social media is a terrorist organization because the social media have exposed several atrocities going on within the northern region. There are evidences that people living in the IDPs, for those who survived such invasions and systematic annihilation, they have not returned back to their ancestral homes. And the piling of internally displaced persons are ever increasing in the northern region. More people are being displaced with the level of escalation still going on. Several communities, including Borno, Taraba, Zamfara, Niger, and somebody even reported that even some region of Kano, they are now trooping in the region of Kano, which is the northwest. That should be considered pretty safe. Now, if now they are invading Kano State, which happens to be one of the biggest commercial hub or city in the north, then it means that might be the total collapse of the northern region. It is quite a very disturbing development, honestly. Now, his push included the introduction of the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, which sought to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern over religious freedom abuses. Of course, there are abuses of such abounding in Nigeria. The Nigerian government strongly rejected this claim, stating that the violence is complex and affects both Christians and Muslims, and that framing it is a genocide against Christians alone is misleading. Now, who are those? If it is complex, who are those perpetuating this? And what is the responsibility of a responsible government to her citizens? Is it not to protect life and properties? When the government failed in these primary responsibilities, then they should be considered as an accomplice to the killing of the citizens. You're saying Christians and Muslims are being killed. Now, what are you doing as a government to protect lives and properties, which is the primary responsibility of any government? Without that, there is no government. Who are those killings? Is there Christians embarking on these massive killings? The government should own up responsibility for the killings if they could not bring the perpetrators to justice. With all the apparatus of the state at their disposal, they could not bring the culprit and the cause of justice and the law to catch up with them. Then the government should be held responsible for failing, of course, in their primary responsibilities to the citizens. There's no better way to express this. If you claim this is complex, Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed, what is your justification? Are you saying that the killers, which one of the service chiefs said that they are foreigners, the foreigners invade your state as an existing government, killed and dislodge your citizens, take over their ancestral homes, reoccupy them, they are still living there, expanding. People could no longer go to their farms. And you have a government, you have a security structure, you have a defense force, you have a director of intelligence, you have the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, and the rest of them, you have the DSS. Nobody have cracked them down. Nobody have gone after them. So what are you telling us? They are killing not today. Tomorrow they will kill, expand. I mean, the history, of course, events and evidence about to that. So what justifications is the government making or trying to defend the indefensible? It is indispensable in the sense that you cannot validate the killings of your citizens. And you are not bringing the culprits, the perpetrators to justice. Unfortunately, look at what is happening. The bandits breaking the peace deal. Why wouldn't they break it? It's just like giving monkey banana and you don't expect him to eat it. Or giving a rat a fish and you don't expect that rat to eat the fish. How possible is that? People who have been radicalized, who are bloodthirsty. You say you are striking a peace deal with them. Is there something is wrong with those striking the peace deal with them, or they are wrong with something? You can't expect a madman, no matter my people say, no matter how you cure a madman, he will not stop from murmuring. You can't stop from discussing with him alone with himself. I think the earlier the government understands this and do the needful than giving flimsy excuses, reason why they have failed in the primary responsibility of protecting life and property of the citizens. Unfortunately, there appear to be no way, no solution to this because the insecurity continues to escalate. Why the government is grappling to maintain its position and keep power beyond 2027. The masses, the citizens have been taken to the slaughter. They are being killed, adopted on a daily basis. What is happening? In fact, there was a video flying in the social media. The Ogun State, people were running. They are no longer safe. Even the Yoruba land that was considered to be the safest place before now is no longer safe. So who is safe?